Hi, this is Billy Tarasio from Modern Law, and today we're going to talk about when you should move out. Should you stay in the house, in the same house together when you're pending your divorce? Should somebody move out? Should you ask the court for exclusive use of the house? These are all tough decisions, and it largely does depend on your situation. Sometimes financially it's usually better if you can stay in one house. However, practically speaking, people who are breaking up have a really hard time staying in the same place. And I know for me it felt it wasn't even possible. We just couldn't stay in the same place. There was too much tension, too much stress. And so when and I, you know, at that point, you have to decide. If you're in a situation where you don't want to share the same place anymore, then you have to make a decision. What do I do? Do I move out? Will that hurt my chances at custody or of getting the marital home? And those are two really good questions. I had somebody the other day say to me, I don't want to move out because I don't want it to hurt my chances of custody. Somebody told me it would. It won't, not in Arizona. In Arizona, there's such a presumption for equal parenting time and for having both parents involved that moving out of the house won't hurt that. There may be a short period of time where someone withholds the children from you, but that's so frowned upon in Arizona that if that's the only factor, no, you don't really have to worry about that, in my opinion. Will you lose your ability to keep your house long term? This is more of an actual issue. I would have been happy to keep our marital home, but really after I moved out, that kind of went out the window. So at that point, either he was going to keep it or it was going to be sold. But that's kind of the choice you have to make. If you've decided we can't live together any longer, then your option is you leave, or you attempt some other solution. You can file a motion for temporary orders and ask for exclusive use of the house. Now, this is an interesting thing. For most judges in Maricopa County, most of the time, I don't see this working. Most of the time, judges will say, no, there's no domestic violence. You guys shared a house this long. I'm not going to order exclusive use to one of you. But I had another case very recently where mom was asking for exclusive use of the house. My client, dad, said, who was the only one working, said, no, I can't afford two houses. I think we should continue sharing, or we should bird's nest. Bird's nesting is an interesting option where you have defined parenting time, and during that parenting time, the parent who has the children stays in the marital home. So the kids never leave. Basically, the parents come and go for their parenting time to the marital home. Now, my ex and I tried this, and it was a complete and total disaster. When I first moved out of the house, I was the only one working and didn't want to pay for two households. So I suggested to my ex that we bird's nest. So we rented a one-bedroom furnished apartment on a short-term lease. We were going to marital counseling, and we signed this lease. And then shortly thereafter, within weeks of exercising this arrangement, he changed his mind. And he said, nope, I'm not leaving. If you want to see the kids, you'll have to come here, and I'm not leaving, which was hugely problematic. So it meant we had to break that lease, or I had to break that lease, buy that out, and then scramble to find a place big enough for me to have quality parenting time with my 4 kids. So it was kind of an epic disaster, our bird's nesting attempt. I still think it's not a bad idea, but it didn't work in my case. And in this other case where my client, the husband, was the only one working and the wife wanted exclusive use of the house, the judge said, no, I don't want to set these parties up for orders of protection or conflict around the kids. So she actually gave the wife exclusive use of the house and made the husband move out and get his own place. So he's now doing that. In any case, at any stage in your divorce, including when you are making this decision, it is better if you can work together. It's just not always possible. It takes two people to negotiate, and you can't always work out a mutually beneficial relationship or arrangement, even on a temporary basis. If there's any way to do it, you should. If you can come to an agreement and stick to it, you should. But if you can't, when push comes to shove, you have to create a space that's safe for you and your kids, and one that you're comfortable in. And I wasn't exactly comfortable. I went from, our marital home, which was a nice large home, into a much smaller rental that, felt like a starter home. But it was ours, and there wasn't tension, and it did allow us to kind of be in close proximity to one another while we went through this transition together. And then, that was about 18 months. And then we moved into this house that I'm in right now, which is a lot more of kind of what we're used to. It's a little bigger, it's a little nicer. And there was kind of a collective exhale between, from me, from my kids. And so, if we look back on the whole process, it was a series of a lot of exhales. When I first got that little small rental, it was a major exhale. There was a lot of tension that was then gone, because nobody could say, you can't see your kids unless you come hang out with me. And there was just a break from the conflict, and an opportunity to say, okay, well, who am I as an adult now? How do I want to set up this space? Because I haven't made this type of decision by myself in many, many years. And it's freeing, and it's an opportunity. So these are just some things to consider. There's no right answers, and it's not an easy decision, but it's one that you should really clearly think about. And feel free to brainstorm with your attorney about more than just legal maneuvering. So much of what we experience when we're going through a divorce isn't about the legal process. It's about these practical things like, when do I move out? And how should I move out? How much should I spend? And should I sign a lease? And should I buy a house? That's another blog, because I tried that too. But I'll share that another time. Have a great evening. We'll talk soon.